Diana Wilson had always known that she was different in her family, not because of who she was, but because of what was expected of her. From as early as she could remember, her role was clear: the responsible eldest daughter, the one who set the example, the one who worked hard while others played. Her parents, Karen and Robert, praised her for her achievements, but rarely with genuine warmth. Instead, their approval came with strings attached, a reminder that she was strong, capable, and didn't need their help. Meanwhile, her younger sister Rebecca seemed to float through life on a cushion of privileges. On Rebecca's 16th birthday, while Diana received a practical calculator and a lecture about saving money for college, Rebecca was treated to a weekend at a luxury hotel, designer clothes, and a brand new car. The favoritism wasn't subtle, it was blatant. At school, Diana juggled AP classes, part-time jobs, and scholarships. She knew every dollar mattered. While Rebecca received full scholarships, housing paid for by their parents, and monthly allowances that exceeded Diana's own earnings, Diana painstakingly worked to cover her tuition and expenses. The disparity echoed at home. Family dinners were often a showcase for Rebecca's latest accomplishments, while Diana's successes were quietly acknowledged or dismissed as expected. Her mother's favorite phrase, "Diana is so responsible, she doesn't need extras," stung more than she let on. Growing up, Diana was the safety net, not only for herself, but for her entire family. Over the years, she quietly lent money to cover mortgages, bills, and emergencies. What she didn't realize was that this generosity was being taken for granted, and her sacrifices became the foundation on which the rest of the family's comforts were built. Yet despite the pain and inequity Diana held on to, a fragile hope that things would balance out, that one day she would be seen, valued, and treated fairly. But that day never came. The news of her grandfather Theodore's passing hit Diana harder than she expected. Theodore had been one of the few family members who truly saw and supported her. Unlike her parents, he never judged her or compared her to Rebecca. He believed in her, quietly sending her handwritten letters of encouragement and small checks tucked inside birthday cards that said, "For your dreams." When the reading of the will was announced, Diana felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps Theodore's legacy would finally affirm her worth. But the reality was cruel. At the family gathering, lawyers handed out envelopes. Diana's hands trembled as she opened hers, revealing a modest collection of Theodore's fishing gear and a few well-worn books, items he had cherished in life. Meanwhile, Karen and Robert, along with Rebecca, received the bulk of the inheritance, the family home savings accounts, and valuable stocks. The room was thick with silence, punctuated only by whispers and forced smiles. Diana felt invisible. When she confronted her parents, her voice barely above a whisper. Karen replied sharply, "He loved all his grandchildren, Diana. You know how hard Rebecca has struggled." "But I worked just as hard," Diana said, her eyes stinging. "I've supported this family financially for years." Robert waved her off. "You're strong. You don't need handouts." That night, Diana sat alone in her apartment, the weight of betrayal heavy on her chest. The dreams she had nurtured with Theodore's support seemed to dissolve. In the following weeks, her family's requests for money became relentless. Rebecca launched into a new business opportunity and asked Diana for $15,000. Her parents called, hinting at dire financial troubles, expecting Diana to fill the gaps. For years, Diana had been the family's financial backbone, an unacknowledged ATM. But this time, something inside her snapped. "I can't do this anymore," she told her mother firmly. "I'm not your safety net." What followed was a barrage of guilt trips, pleas, and accusations. Her parents painted her as selfish and ungrateful. Rebecca threatened to cut ties. For the first time, Diana stood her ground. She set boundaries not just for her finances, but for her emotional well-being. The weeks after Diana's firm refusal to continue supporting her family financially were some of the hardest she had ever faced. The backlash was immediate and intense. Her parents, Karen and Robert, launched a campaign of emotional manipulation, calling at all hours, sending guilt-laden messages, and accusing her of abandoning the family in their time of need. "You're tearing us apart," her mother sobbed during one phone call. "After all we did for you," Diana clenched her fists but remained resolute. "I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm protecting myself." Rebecca, emboldened by their parents' disapproval, lashed out on social media and in private messages, painting Diana as cold-hearted and selfish. Friends and distant relatives took sides, fracturing what little peace Diana had left. The emotional toll was crushing. Nights were spent wrestling with doubt and loneliness. But amid the storm, Diana found unexpected allies, close friends, who offered unconditional support and understanding, and her partner Marcus, whose steady presence grounded her. Seeking healing, Diana began therapy to unpack years of emotional abuse and financial exploitation. The sessions helped her recognize patterns she had accepted as normal and empowered her to reclaim her narrative. She learned that saying no was not betrayal, but self-respect. That setting boundaries was an act of courage, not selfishness. With Marcus's encouragement, Diana took control of her finances, hired a trusted advisor, and began planning for a future untethered from family demands. Slowly, painfully, Diana began to break free from the chains that had bound her, rediscovering her worth and rebuilding her life on her own terms. Diana's decision to cut financial ties with her family marked the beginning of a new chapter, one defined by self-empowerment and healing. With Marcus by her side, she embarked on a journey to reclaim control over her life and finances. She met with a financial advisor, Olivia, who helped her organize debts, set realistic savings goals, and build an investment portfolio tailored to her future. For the first time, Diana felt the weight of responsibility shift from a burden to an opportunity. The process was not without its challenges. Old habits and guilt tugged at her resolve. Calls and messages from her family continued, some pleading, others angry. But Diana's boundaries had been set firmly, and she no longer wavered. She moved into a cozy condo downtown her sanctuary. The space was modest, but filled with light and personal touches, paintings she had created, books that inspired her, and photographs of moments that symbolized freedom and joy. Professionally, Diana expanded her graphic design business, taking on clients who valued her vision and integrity. Her work began to receive local recognition, and she was invited to speak at community events about financial independence and emotional resilience. Though contact with her parents and Rebecca was minimal and strained, Diana felt peace. She was no longer defined by their expectations or demands. She was building a family of choice friends, partners, and allies who supported her growth. Reclaiming independence was more than financial freedom. It was a reclamation of her identity and worth. Diana knew the road ahead would still have hurdles, but for the first time, she was steering her own course with confidence. Diana's life began to take on a rhythm all her own, a blend of hard work, self-care, and meaningful connections. Her graphic design business flourished, with clients appreciating not only her creativity, but the passion she poured into every project. The local community soon recognized her as a voice of empowerment and resilience. She and Marcus deepened their relationship, building a partnership based on mutual respect and support. Their quiet dinners and weekend hikes offered Diana a sanctuary from the chaos she had left behind. Though her family remained distant, Diana found peace in the chosen family she had cultivated. Friends who celebrated her victories, listened to her struggles, and stood by her unwaveringly. One afternoon, Diana received an invitation to speak at a women's conference about overcoming familial abuse and financial exploitation. Standing on that stage, sharing her story with a room full of strangers, Diana felt a surge of pride and purpose. Her pain had transformed into power, a beacon for others trapped in similar circumstances. The scars of her past were still there, reminders of battles fought and lessons learned. but they no longer defined her. With each new day, Diana rewrote her story, one of courage, independence, and hope. She was no longer a victim, but a victor. And this was only the beginning. Just as Diana settled into her new life, shadows from the past resurfaced. Unexpectedly, her parents reached out requesting a meeting to discuss family matters. Torn between caution and hope, Diana agreed, determined to listen, but wary of old patterns. The meeting was tense. Karen and Robert expressed regret and a desire to mend fractured ties, but old wounds ran deep. Diana confronted years of neglect, favoritism, and emotional manipulation, demanding honesty and respect as prerequisites for any reconciliation. Simultaneously, Diana faced professional pressures. Her growing business attracted competitive rivals and difficult clients. Balancing personal and career demands tested her resilience. Throughout, Marcus remained her steadfast anchor, reminding her of her strength and worth. As Diana navigated these challenges, she learned that healing was not linear and that embracing vulnerability was a courageous act. She continued to build a life where love was earned and boundaries honored. Slowly, walls began to crumble. Through therapy and honest conversations, Diana and her parents started to understand each other's pain and perspectives. While forgiveness was not immediate, a foundation for dialogue was laid. Diana took tentative steps toward rebuilding family connections, carefully balancing self-protection with openness. Her relationship with Rebecca remained fragile, but small gestures hinted at possible healing. At work, Diana launched a mentorship program to support young women facing financial and emotional challenges, turning her own experiences into a platform for empowerment. Her public speaking engagements increased, inspiring audiences with her story of resilience and transformation. Through it all, Diana found strength not just in independence, but in community and connection. Her journey from betrayal to healing was ongoing, but she embraced it with courage and hope. Diana stood at the podium, the spotlight warming her face as she addressed an audience gathered for a national conference on family dynamics and financial independence. Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of lived experience and the light of hard-earned hope. She spoke candidly about betrayal, resilience, and the power of setting boundaries. Each story she shared resonated deeply, sparking conversations and connections among attendees. Backstage, Marcus held her hand, proud and supportive. Their partnership was a testament to the strength that could arise from love rooted in respect. At home, Diana's relationship with her family continued to evolve. Though not perfect, moments of understanding and reconciliation brightened the path ahead. Her graphic design business expanded, fueled by her growing reputation as both an artist and advocate. As the conference concluded, Diana felt a profound sense of purpose. The past had shaped her, but it no longer defined her. The future was hers to create. With her confidence soaring, Diana embraced new opportunities beyond her graphic design career. She was invited to collaborate with nonprofit organizations focused on supporting survivors of family exploitation, expanding her impact. Traveling to speak at events, she connected with diverse communities, learning from others' stories and sharing her own as a beacon of hope. Back home, Marcus and Diana discussed plans for the future, a shared vision of building a life filled with love, purpose, and stability. Though occasional challenges arose, old family conflicts, work pressures, Diana faced them with resilience and grace. Her journey was no longer solitary, but enriched by relationships and meaningful work. She looked ahead with optimism, ready to write the next chapters of her life. With her confidence soaring, Diana embraced new opportunities beyond her graphic design career. She was invited to collaborate with nonprofit organizations focused on supporting survivors of family exploitation, expanding her impact. Traveling to speak at events, she connected with diverse communities, learning from others' stories and sharing her own as a beacon of hope. Back home, Marcus and Diana discussed plans for the future, a shared vision of building a life filled with love, purpose, and stability. Though occasional challenges arose, old family conflicts, work pressures, Diana faced them with resilience and grace. Her journey was no longer solitary but enriched by relationships and meaningful work. She looked ahead with optimism, ready to write the next chapters of her life. The balance Diana fought to maintain between her personal life and public work was fragile. The spotlight brought not only recognition but scrutiny, forcing her to confront painful memories she had long tried to bury. Late one evening, a confrontation with her mother reopened old wounds. Karen's words, laced with regret but also defensiveness, stirred a storm of emotions. "You could have been more understanding, Diana," Karen said, her voice trembling. "We made mistakes, but we're still your family." Diana held her ground. Family doesn't hurt like this, and expect forgiveness without change. That night, Diana realized that freedom came at a price. The cost of painful truths, difficult conversations, and sometimes the loss of those who couldn't meet her where she was. But with Marcus's unwavering support and her own growing resilience, Diana knew she could face whatever came next. She was no longer the girl trapped in guilt and obligation. She was a woman empowered by choice. In the months that followed, Diana transformed adversity into opportunity. She launched a foundation dedicated to supporting women and survivors of financial abuse, turning her painful experiences into a source of hope and empowerment for others. Her leadership attracted partnerships with major organizations, amplifying her impact. Despite the demands, Diana balanced her work with nurturing her relationship with Marcus and cherishing quiet moments with friends who had become family. Occasionally, echoes of the past surfaced, unexpected visits from relatives, reminders of fractured bonds, but Diana met them with grace and clear boundaries. Her story became a beacon, a testament to resilience, courage, and the power of reclaiming one's life. As she stood before a new audience sharing her journey, Diana smiled, knowing that every scar had shaped the woman she had become. The future was hers, bright, uncertain, and full of promise. The seasons changed, and with them, Diana's life blossomed in unexpected ways. Her foundation's success brought invitations to international forums where she shared her message of empowerment on a global stage. Traveling opened her eyes to diverse stories of struggle and triumph, reminding her that while pain was universal, so was hope. Back home, Marcus and Diana discussed plans for their future, a shared vision of family stability and adventure. They dreamed of adopting a child, building a home filled with love and laughter. Though the scars of her past remained, they no longer dictated her path. Diana had transformed them into strengths, guiding her toward a life she once thought impossible. Her journey was far from over, but with each step forward, she embraced the promise of tomorrow with open arms and an unbreakable spirit. Diana woke early to the soft light filtering through her bedroom window. The quiet morning held a serenity she had rarely known in her younger years. Her life, once defined by turmoil and sacrifice, was now grounded in moments of calm and joy. She and Marcus spent the weekend planning their future, discussing travel career goals and the possibility of expanding their family. For the first time, Diana felt truly hopeful. Her foundation continued to grow, impacting countless lives, while her graphic design business thrived on creativity and purpose. Though her relationship with her parents remained distant, Diana had made peace with the past. Forgiveness, she realized, was a gift she gave herself, not for others. As she watched the sun set over the city skyline, Diana smiled, grateful for the journey that had shaped her and the endless possibilities ahead. Her story was one of resilience, love, and the courage to begin anew. Diana stood at the threshold of her new home, the keys warm in her hand, a symbol of everything she had fought to reclaim. The walls, though still bare, echoed with the promise of fresh starts and uncharted possibilities. Surrounded by friends who had become family, and with Marcus by her side, Diana finally felt the peace that had eluded her for so long. Thomas's laughter filled the rooms, a melody of hope and healing. Her foundation had grown beyond her wildest dreams, touching lives far beyond her own experience. She had transformed pain into purpose, betrayal into strength. Though scars remained, they were reminders of battles won, not wounds that defined her. As the sun set on this chapter of her life, Diana looked forward with a heart full of gratitude and courage. Her story was not just one of survival, but of triumph. She was home,